I'm in a different headspace now to where I was when the scandal hit, because you and I both know the reasons for much of that success wasn't the money, but it's what we built culturally, and I wanted at that time, and we needed at that time some solidarity, some loyalty, and I had a burning desire to prove that that was the case.
Right, Al, how you getting on, mate? Very strange. Where's your new sale stash? I can't see the badge.
No, I've been doing the rounds today. I've been incognito, all social distancing, Jim, obviously. But I've been going around Manchester, picking up the players on a one-on-one. So I've been in my casuals. I'm actually in a storeroom here, and you've heard about how nice a facility Sale have at Carrington, and it is. But this isn't the best aspect of the facility. It's quite depressing at this point in time. But no, it's a good place to be, mate. Like, a little bit humbled by what a setup they've got already, really. What kind of a setup I stepped into.
Is it weird? It must feel weird. It must feel very strange, having been at a club for so long. But you were there as a youngster a long time ago. But how weird does it feel? Because I saw the video on social media this week of you addressing the team, and I only played for you for 3 years, but it felt like a lot longer than that. But it was weird seeing you in different gear. Was it weird putting it on, or was it not a thing?
It still hasn't dawned on me, Jim. Not, I guess it still hasn't dawned on me that the foreseeable rest of my life is going to be in a different part of the country with a different group of people. I'm still very excited about the opportunity and everything. Like, that's still boiling around in me, and I'm trying to change the world every day. And I know I ain't got, there's just not enough hours in the day, so I've got to take a breath a little bit at the moment. But I've got to say, it didn't feel like I was stepping into a place or I was pushing against a closed door. Everyone was kind of primed and ready for a change. And Deeks had done a brilliant job in the last few weeks, having the players talk amongst themselves as to what that change could entail. So I'm coming in here to an organisation where there seems to be very few roadblocks ahead of me, an organisation which is different to the one I left, 17 years ago, but there's some fundamentals, some key fundamentals there, which are very, very similar to the ones that I left. They still look after their own, very much so. And I guess you could see that in how it erupted after the Gloucester game the other night. That's the on-field manifestation of it. But I've always had a cup of tea made for me, even when I came down with Saracens for over the last 10 years. And there's a lot of the same people here who have been at different roles through the organisation who are still here. To see them keeping hold of those staff members because they hold an identity to what the club was is reassuring as well. So I'm not, like I said in every other interview, I'm not coming in to rip it up. But hopefully I'll be that little bit of a catalyst for the players and the staff that are already here to make the leap forward. Maybe help them, give them the belief that they already know in the potential that they've got. Because knowing it and believing it, there's two different things, isn't there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll chat a little bit about the pressure, but I just wanted to get your take on, and I think I know the reason, but why now? Why did you feel like now was the right time?
There's some personal reasons, I'm in a different headspace now to where I was when the scandal hit, because you and I both know the reasons for much of that success wasn't the money, but it's what we built culturally, and I wanted at that time, and we needed at that time some solidarity, some loyalty, and I had a burning desire to prove that was the case. And to a large degree, I felt we've done that, with some of the performances we had, particularly against the Invincibles, with still half a squad missing and people coming back late from injury. I felt like we exercised a lot of demons there for me. So there was that. Time's a healer with regards to all of that ill feeling from, I think, both sides of the coin, from us and from the general public, because at some point you've got to let sleeping dogs lie. So there's that there. So it was different headspace. I was more open to opportunity. Then there's the rugby side of things, and I've enjoyed, it's nothing that Saracens have done to push me away in any respect. But the reality is I've held that position of head coach under Mark McCall, who's the best director of rugby, I think, in the game at the moment, including myself, for 5 years, and probably another 2 years with Guzzi before that, and a new contract would be another 5 years, and that's 12 years in that role, which you've got to ask yourself how much. I'm comfortable, I'm secure, I'm happy, but am I really stretching myself? And if I didn't move at this opportunity, like I say, with all the structures, the system, the squad they've got in place, the coaching set they've got in place, with enthusiastic owners who want to take the club forward, when am I going to move? You know, if it's a case of if not now, then when? And so it was my wife to some degree as well who said, I think you need to do this for yourself. So she pushed me to, as I always do, but to look at it seriously from all angles. And like I say, it was a month of introspection, really, in consideration and speaking to all parties to understand what I was getting from Saracens, and what I could potentially get here at Sale, and I was offered here at Sale, and for all the boxes, for personal and family reasons, Sale ticked them all.
And there's been a lot of hype around you going. I don't know if you've heard all the noise. You've probably been too busy, but I'm sure you've heard a lot of it just through friends. But there's a lot in the media around it. Do you feel that pressure? Does it add to the job that you've already got to do going in there?
It's my mum who tells me about it. She's now like a social media scrapbooker, if you like. I'm not on social media, Jim.
Don't ever come on.
I'm not on it, because I mean, I'm sure over time the bad outweighs the good, and you end up becoming too self-obsessed with what other people think. So that's my main reasons. I'm vain enough as it is, but you can only hear the goodwill that's overpouring, humbling, and surprising. Like, I was so surprised that there was that much goodwill on both sides towards the move, which it bolsters your resolve. Of course, it's like, right, is the right choice, you know. But then there's a lot of expectation, isn't there? There's a lot of expectation. Now I've got to live up to the hype. I realise that. So, and that's what I want to. Of course I do, Jim. I want to take the club forward and get them fulfilling their potential. But I've said all along, I've said to the owners, Si and Jed and the CEO, I've said to the players today, I'm no magic wand. There is none. There's no hacks, there's no shortcuts if you want to achieve long-term success. And what we've got to build here is going to take some time in the making, in understanding who we are first, because this is a club that's been in flux with COVID, with dimes over the years. And the players and I both understand that we need to understand who we are first, our identity, and then we can go from there. And that has to be a relatively long process so we get all the truth. So we paint the best picture, and then in times of stress and need, in times of crisis, you can come back to it. You can fall back to who you are, because you understand completely what kind of a club you want to be and belong to, and then why you're there as well. That's a laid on process, but ultimately who we are. So I've asked the players to understand that this could take 4 to 6 weeks. We want short-term performance, right? We want that. Want it next week. Got both, Leicester. Of course we do. And we might get it, because I'm sure there's going to be a spike in energy, because it's different for them. But if we're going to build something that's lasting, it's probably going to take a bit more time to give us 6 weeks as a minimum to understand who we are, and then let's see where we go from there.
It's easy, isn't it? It's easy, the initial transition. You said you get the spike. You see that in football, like the new coaches, and then it kind of reverts back to time. You look at it now, the Premiership's really competitive. You know more than any how competitive it is. What makes a team, I think I know the answer, but I know that you know the answer. What makes a good team great? Like, how do you get that sustained success? Because you look at Toulon as well, it's not about just having the best players, is it? It's a lot more than that.
No, it's not. It's not, Jim. You know that. It's about getting the best out of those best players consistently on a regular basis. I guess in layman terms, it's going over and above in terms of you care for the person, not just the player. That's what I believe. Because if you truly care for the person, as I did you, Jim, and I'm not saying that just because we're talking now, then that buy-in, that psychological contract is reciprocal. You know, you end up giving more than what you would have potentially if it was just a job or a contract, because they don't get you out of bed in the morning. You know, that doesn't get you out of bed. So there's going the over and beyond in terms of what you can do for the person. And I think if they're the right type of person for the environment, then that will be returned tenfold.
One of the things I found really interesting when I turned up at Saracens was you just lost to Northampton in the final. You just lost to Toulon. You won nothing. So I'm going into an environment then thinking it's going to be all doom and gloom. Like, what have I got myself into? How's it going to go? And it was, that first meeting was just unbelievable, because I always thought you measure success on winning and winning things and winning trophies. But my initial stages at Saracens, it was more than just winning silverware. You finished top of the league, you'd scored the most tries, and there was these ridiculous stats out there. A couple of lads got married, a couple of lads had kids. I think it was really interesting having your take on how you measure success, because say in 2 years Sale don't win the Premiership, but you're consistently in the top 4, you're in Europe. Is this a thing with this Sale team? How you measure success is winning championships? Obviously that is a thing, but it goes back to my question: like, how do you measure success in professional rugby?
Well, I mean, it's measured many ways by many different people, depending on, I guess, again, what their purpose is, what the motivation is. So no doubt, like, the public, the fans, and to some degree the owners are going to want on-field silverware, trophies, accolades, and all that, Jim. And that is part of my obligation and remit, isn't it, to get on-field performance. Whereas, you know, in winning cups in the past, and you know this, the night out is brilliant. The change rooms afterwards, like, it's an unreal feeling. And then you sat at home 2 days later, and I don't think it's just the adrenaline crash. There's almost like a depression, a soul searching kind of, well, should it not be better and more lasting? Surely all that work, that 11-month work, should stick with me for longer, right? And that's when the introspection comes again. And we've been through a few times of that, both sides of the coin, losing and winning. And during that introspection, you've got to find purpose in why you're doing it, in what gives you enjoyment, right? And although that day is incredibly enjoyable, and I would never dismiss that, because we're incredibly lucky to have had it so many times as we did, it's not I don't think about that on October, on the first game in September. You think about coming in, seeing your mates. You think about coming in, having a crack and enjoying the day-to-day process of maybe getting better, or of certainly getting on the ride together. You know, it's about enjoying the struggle as much as the triumph. I think that's very important, because when you go through that with people, the bonds of friendship that you forge, they're the things that last a lot longer than that fleeting feeling of loss or winning. So I think success will be determined for me on the feedback and the feeling I get on a day-to-day basis, not just on the back of the wins, Jim, but more importantly on the losses, like what you just said. Like, are we still in this together? Where's the lesson? Do we understand that the win and the loss don't define us as a group? And then pushing on again from that, finding a solution, or backing it up if we're still lucky.
A lot of South African players at Sale now. I've always said, if your team's struggling, bring some South African timber into the ranks, and you'll get over the gain line. Again, going back to Saracens, back in the transition days, there was a lot of South African players, not just what they brought on the pitch, but what they brought off the pitch. We're seeing more and more in the Premiership now. current World Cup winners. What is it about South African players? Why are they so good?
Well, most of them, with the exception of Faf, are massive, which helps, doesn't it? It really helps. They're very polite, which is always nice. They're easily coachable. So you can push them in ways that you could push people who have been brought up in, let's say, academies and public school systems in this country. So the transition of them coming from South Africa to England, it's not like you have to adapt your coaching methodology, right? They fit into what you've probably been used to yourself as a coach or a player in this country quite easily. Whereas maybe some different nationalities, because of the cultural divide and their upbringing, it's not the same fit. There's all of that in it. And in relative terms, they're seemingly less money orientated. Obviously, money talks, and the pound is strong against the rand. They're quite spiritual, or at least religious. Religious in a lot of ways. So they already understand the principle of buying into a higher purpose, something that transcends just a workplace and an accolade. And if you can get a big guy who's motivated with a sense of higher purpose, then you've got a bit of a warrior there, haven't you?
Yes, you have. Al, that's class, mate. All that's left to say is good luck, mate. I'm going to be watching from afar and hoping it goes as well as I think it will. And I can't wait to see things get back to normal. And you're going to be stood at the side of the pitch, or you're going to be up in the box?
I'll be at the side, mate. Of course, well, I'm not changing. I'm not wearing a suit.
Don't.
Ranting and raving on the touchline, mate.
Can't wait. Cheers, Al.
Thanks, mate.